guys, and welcome to this next video. We're painting the little piece that you just saw there. It's a very similar piece to the one in the back right hand corner there, and it's just part of the set that I'm doing that's in blues and coppers. And just starting there by painting the back of the canvas with a little bit of white paint. It's mixed with a tiny bit of Floetrol, just something to cover the ground on. And I am just drizzling on in a fairly random pattern some of these very pretty blues that we have there. The first one was a phthalo and a black mix, and this one is a mix of phthalo, black, and a turquoise color as well, with a tiny little bit of green, and that's just a copper and some gold as well. And most of the blues you can see there, they're all blends that I have made to go with what I like. I don't just like using plain phthalo or cobalt or those sorts of colors. I do like to blend them through a little bit together. I use them for some of my other art pieces as well, so they come in handy. I haven't put this set into some little squeezy bottles, which would make this little part a little bit easier. The next couple of paintings in this series, I have done that. And I am sort of trying to put some of the darker colours up the top and eventually the lighter colours down the bottom. And this wee one here that's going in is a really nice mix. You can't see it very well when it's not dry, but it's got a little bit of white pearl paint in it, a little bit of Amsterdam shimmer paint, white, phthalo, and turquoise as well, and it's quite pretty. And that going on there was just a Global Paints metallic pearl. A tiny bit of Jo Sonia's brand Amethyst. All these paints are mixed with Floetrol and water, and a tiny drop of silicone in the colours, not the metallics though. And I'm just dotting this around the canvas, making sure I'm getting some paints down on the side edges of the canvas. If you don't do that, you end up with holes in the paint with this particular technique. These paints are quite thick and they do not tilt very easily from this point. If I was to put it in a cup and do a flip cup pour, they would tilt, but they are not very runny at all. And even a tilt, you have to make sure that you've got enough paint on there, because they don't move around and run very much at all. Just find it's a little bit cleaner doing it this way. I don't end up with mess absolutely everywhere, which is great, because I'm currently out of a studio area painting on the dining table with kids floating around. It's just easy not to have a lot of cleanup. When I was doing the big tilts and I had to do them outside, it's a lot of effort at the moment without the studio space. We need to get that fixed up, but that's okay. And I'm just creating a ribbon in the middle of some darker colors, so I can do a swipe both up and down. So black in the center and various mixtures of the blues on either side of that. And I'm about to come in, okay, there's a bit of black there, and then coppers around the sides. I love the coppers with the blues, and that's what this little series is, I guess, all about, is putting in those blues and coppers together. Just popping those in there. The copper paint is ever so slightly thicker than the other ones, and the gold as well. It is a little bit thicker. I find it holds on the top of the surface. You would think that the thicker paint might sink, but actually no, it floats a little bit better, and the lighter colors tend to on the whole sink. Now that's just my paper towels I'm swiping with. I cut them in half before I start, so I can either swipe with a short edge or a long edge, depending on what I'm going to do. In this particular case, I'm swiping with the short edge, and I have actually just ripped that in half as well. Because I'm not tilting the paint off the canvas, I need to cover the sides, and I don't want to just paint them with a plain flat paintbrush, because you don't get the texture. It doesn't quite look the same. So I'm just dabbing the leftover paints on the paper towel on the side of the canvas. I only do it once or twice, because eventually a little bit of movement on that paper towel on the side and you lose that pretty pattern that you get on the side of the paper towel, and it doesn't quite look as good. Now I'm just going back in with a little bit more copper because there wasn't quite enough copper in there. And you can see up the top there, those bubbles are starting to appear in the swipe, just the same as they are in the one at the back. So now I'm just carefully popping that paper towel in there. This is sped up by ×2 at the moment, this piece of the film, so I am pulling that through quite slowly, and you can see straight away how those little bubbles are appearing through there, and that's just the sort of the lacing effect from having the Floetrol in there, but also because the paints are sort of all bubbled and dotted around, you end up with those sort of dots sort of coming through the paint really nicely. And again, just making sure I put that paper towel around the sides of the canvas as I go. A little bit of editing just to try and get those colours the same way as they are in the top canvas. Eventually I actually think I do a relatively good job with that. Just carefully lay it in there, let it sit there for a couple of seconds, and then pull it down through, and look at that, just popping through. It looks really nice. Obviously these are some early videos. We're in the process of getting some better camera equipment and a better setup. I have the new camera at the moment, but I don't have the setup for the camera to sort of sit over the paintings better. Although this one here is actually just taken with my phone, so this isn't the good camera itself. Though I have it, it's in my hot little hands right as we speak. And that's just me covering the sides of those canvas. And you can see again those cells really popping through, which is lovely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back into my artwork. I used to do quite a lot when I was younger and took a lot of art classes, and always been very into creative tracks. So really looking forward to that. I will be doing some acrylic pouring, but mostly sort of embellished acrylic pours, I think. And some big pieces, I guess, colour pieces for the walls and things like that. And also doing a lot of actual just acrylic painting, perhaps using some of the techniques from the acrylic pours as the backgrounds. I do like the swipe effects and things that I have been learning with the acrylic pouring itself. And just deciding I need a little bit of extra colour, a little bit of gold and a little bit more black through there, and just making a couple of little edits. And while I wasn't trying to get exactly the same as the back one that I did in the first piece in this series, I was trying to get something that sort of was ever so slightly different in the center but kind of matched. And I'm just having a little bit of a play here, trying to draw out some sort of stars or something in the center there, and it's just not quite working the way I had originally intended. And as you can see there, it's not quite what I wanted. So I'm just going back over it again with some more black, and I want to add in some of that black in the center there. So I think eventually I get out my palette knife and start having a little bit of a play. I've been doing a little bit of work with the palette knife, completely and utterly not something that I would normally do. I'm normally a very detailed sort of oil painter, doing still lifes and very traditional and probably quite hideous bowls of fruit and that sort of thing. So for me to get into some very abstract acrylics and things like that is it's a bit weird, but we're getting there. Here we go. So now I've just decided, yep, let's get some more darks up the top there. I loved the way the bubbles were appearing, but I knew if I re-swiped it over with the black, we'd still end up with some really pretty cells and bubbles popping through there. I'm like, no, need more black. So I'm just going in there and just sort of adding it in with the knife itself. I like going back in and sort of over painting or painting in the middle, and in after it's done, going back through and embellishing some of these, adding in a few more colors or adding in a picture over the top. I've got a series that I'm doing at the moment that is to do with ballet and dancing and gymnastics. And they are using these backgrounds as stages, I guess, while the painting is done over the top, and I'm really looking forward to those. Some of those backgrounds are drying on my bench right now because I've done them this morning just before I've come and done the voiceover for this. The day that I did these, I was sick, you see. Anyway, there's the how it ended up with that black coming through, and I really do like those colours. So thanks for watching, and I'd love for you to stick around, come and subscribe and see the rest of these series and the dancer series and some of the fruit that what am I on about? Some of the flowers. I'm going to be doing a whole series on acrylic flowers coming up soon as well. So it'd be lovely to see you around for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.